this is something that Piper said about his preaching, right? Piper said, if you preach the gospel in a way that is boring or mundane or humdrum, you're lying about the gospel, no matter how many true words come out of your mouth. That's the truth for all Christian speech. If the affection that you use, the tone, right? If the tone that you use doesn't appropriately match the subject matter and the serious moral weight of the subject matter, then you're lying, no matter how many true things you say. And so our aim ought to be not only to get things right ideologically, but to also get them right affectionally, emotionally, in our own speech, and to use that to aim at the affections of others so that we would raise their affections either negatively towards what's evil or positively towards what's good.
Jacob, I want to give you an example. Suppose that somebody was making an important logical error regarding the temple. If you look in Matthew 23, you see this. Now imagine if Jesus were to say, I disagree with you. Or imagine if you were to say, well, you might want to check on your police work there, bro. Would that be appropriate? Well, listen to the tone that Jesus chose to address the error that was coming from the religious teachers. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, whoever swears by the temple, that's nothing, but whoever swears by the gold in the temple is obligated. And your paper addresses that more. The point is, Jesus was willing to lay it all out there. His emotions matched the degree of severity of the error. And so, what you're saying about making the emotions match the significance, that's going to apply even to criticism and public criticism of people's ideas or even of their character. We ought to, in our polemics, try to move people to hate falsehoods and to love the truth, and to be worried, troubled, sickened by people who are worrying, troubling, and sickening. If we're not doing that, then we're lying about those people.
That's right. In that passage, Jesus calls them blind guides, and he calls them fools and blind men. And then he asks a rhetorical question: which is more important, the gold or the temple that sanctified the gold? He's being sarcastic. It's an obvious answer, right? It's an answer that a 5-year-old from that time period should have been able to answer, or a question that 5-year-old at that time should have been able to answer. It's a simple, obvious, sarcastic question meant to show them how stupid they were being. And that's sort of the modern equivalent. He's basically saying, God's judgment upon you, that's woe to you, you blind guides. You people who claim to be guiding people, but you're blind. You're being stupid. Here's how stupid you're being. Look at the obvious. And he's doing this publicly. And I think the motivation, at least one of the motivations for doing it publicly like this, is so that the people who hear would see and be warned. This is bad. Don't be like this. Don't follow this. Because these guys are holding themselves up as teachers, as models. If it goes unchecked, they're going to reproduce themselves. So Jesus is checking it. He's being holy and righteous in doing so.
You notice he is addressing not just their fallacy, but them. He doesn't just say, well, that's bad reasoning. He calls them blind. It's commonly understood today that any kind of attack on somebody's character, we should say, then you've committed an ad hominem fallacy. And then people would say, aha, you've attacked my character, therefore I've won the argument. I accept your defeat. And I just don't see that modeled in anywhere in Scripture, when sometimes you need to tell people, hey, I have the moral high ground. You have the moral low ground. What you're doing here is immoral. And only an immoral person would do these things. Here's why. But if you can show why, then you're being objective. And I think that's the standard, is you pay attention to who you're talking to. You're not necessarily speaking only to that one person that you're criticizing, but you're speaking mainly to bystanders so that they can understand. So you have to ask yourself, what information do they need to know? And if you can make that clear to other people, then you are being objective in your criticism, even if you are also being emotional.